In this world, 99.9% of all adult content has been banned, and society has become way too innocent. Here, people are forced to wear collars that prevent them from saying any words the government deems inappropriate. Right at the start of the story, a few men are arrested for looking at some illegal magazine and for saying forbidden words out loud. Meanwhile, Okuma, a boy who comes from outside this world, is thinking about his childhood friend, Anna. He hasn't seen her in a long time, and he's really excited to meet her again. Suddenly, he notices a man staring at him and thinks to himself that the guy looks like a monkey. But then, something unfair happens. A woman accuses that man who's actually a student of touching her body. Okuma can't stand seeing such injustice, so he changes clothes and claims that he was the one who touched her. He drags the woman away from the scene, and she gets angry, saying she could have made good money off that rich kid. She starts yelling that Okuma touched her, and soon several guards show up to arrest him. But then, out of nowhere, a woman appears wearing underwear on her head. The guards shout for everyone to run, but it's already too late. The girl starts shouting obscene words in front of everyone. When the officers try to grab her, she threatens to strip them naked. And to make things worse, she throws tons of indecent photos into the crowd. Right after that, she jumps in front of Okuma, tells him to run, and promises that they'll meet again soon at school. Okuma has no idea what's going on, but he accepts her help and runs away while she distracts the guards. Later, during the school's opening ceremony, Okuma looks down at his hands. They're covered in bruises. That's because he's a huge fan of Gon, and he spent the whole night training by swinging his fishing rod. Right behind him, some students are gossiping about Okuma. He's known as the student with the lowest morals in school, and when he hears them talking, he feels a bit down. But suddenly, it's announced that Anna will be giving a speech to everyone. Okuma falls in love with her all over again and even saves a video of the speech to watch later. However, while he's in class, the other students refuse to get anywhere near him. Then, out of nowhere, a beautiful green-haired girl named Fuwa appears between his legs, asking how babies are made. He answers that it's through love, but Fuwa rejects that idea, saying that love is just a feeling and doesn't create babies. Okuma is shocked that the students at this school know nothing about biology. Fuwa explains that she even stood outside the infirmary asking doctors how babies are made, but she was kicked out without ever getting an answer. Okuma doesn't know how to respond to her, but she doesn't give up and keeps getting closer to him. Suddenly, a girl shows up, introducing herself as the vice president of the student council. She says that Okuma has been appointed as an intern. Before he can even reply, Fuwa suddenly blurts out her main theory. She believes that a man's eggplant is the key to pregnancy. Okuma freezes, not knowing what to say, and soon after, he's taken to the student council room, where Anna introduces herself. She explains that even though there are others more qualified than Okuma, she's still happy to work with him. Standing next to her is the man Okuma saved earlier. He's shocked to see him there, and the guy introduces himself as Goriki, a third-year student. After the introductions, Anna invites Okuma to join them in punishing anyone with immoral thoughts. After all, he's known as the student with the lowest morals, so he should be able to recognize immorality better than anyone else. She then explains that in this city, where the purity laws are strictly enforced, there's a villain known as Blue Snow who's been destroying public morals. To make things worse, Anna believes that this person is a student from their school. She really wants to catch them, but she doesn't even understand what those impure acts mean. Anna reveals that once, Blue Snow passed right by her, but she couldn't understand what the images that person was spreading actually meant. In response, Okuma says he admires Anna deeply, and that it'll be a pleasure to help her. Anna then asks Ayame to show Okuma everything he needs to know. Sometime later, in a small cafe that barely gets any customers, we see Okuma sitting across from Ayame. Out of nowhere, she starts complimenting him on his great acting earlier. She even says he must be amazing in bed. Okuma immediately spits out his drink, and Ayame suddenly turns into a completely impure girl, saying all sorts of outrageous things. While Okuma is still trying to understand what's happening, Ayame takes off her glasses and puts her underwear on her head, and that's when Okuma realizes she's the same girl from before. As she introduces herself, Okuma quickly tries to call the police, but Ayame grabs him before he can. Right then, the waiter walks in, and Okuma says that this girl is wanted by the police, but the waiter calmly replies that he already knows, and asks what Okuma would like to order. Confused, Okuma just says, "Green tea, please." After that, Ayame reveals that she found out Okuma is the son of a notorious criminal, a man infamous for his dirty jokes. But Okuma insists he has nothing to do with his father. He says Anna-chan changed him, and now he's a pure person who can't take part in her evil plans. In response, Ayam says she can't let him escape, not after he's discovered her true identity. She then locks Okuma in the basement of the cafe and tells him he'll only be allowed to leave once he agrees to help her lower the school's public morals. He refuses to help her, so she pulls out a board with the name of their organization written on it and asks if it's the name Socks that bothers him, but he shouts that it's not. She ignores his protests and starts talking about the huge balls of a tanuki, but Okuma doesn't want to hear any of it and starts yelling at her. That only makes her more excited because her dream is to live in a world filled with swearing and dirty jokes. She's thrilled that she chose Okuma as her new partner, even though he secretly insulted her in a way that the collar on his neck couldn't detect. Only then does Okuma ask how she's been able to say so many forbidden things without getting caught. So Ayam reveals a pink flip phone. She types in a secret code on it which disables the government's monitoring for up to 3 minutes a day. She then tells him that her father used to be a politician who opposed Japan's current moral laws. He ran his political campaign to abolish these rules, but he was arrested after being accused of harassing a younger girl, even though, according to her, he only ever liked older women. Okuma doesn't like hearing all this, but Ayam keeps talking. She says her father thought it was normal for her to say naughty things, and that's why he gave her this phone, asking her to be satisfied with just 3 minutes of freedom each day to say whatever she wants. Okuma tells her that her father should have taught her to be a decent girl, but Ayam says this world's sense of decency is completely wrong, and her dream is to change it. She asks him once more if he's willing to join her. Okuma refuses with all his strength, so Ayam decides to turn him in to the police as an indecent criminal. Okuma yells that if he gets caught, he'll tell everyone that she's the criminal who's been causing chaos in society. But Ayam smirks and says that if he does that, Anna's reputation will be destroyed, because the two of them are best friends. She says Anna is actually a fragile girl, and if she ever finds out that her best friend is Blue Snow, it might break her to the point she could take her own life. Okuma then asks what he's supposed to gain from helping Ayam destroy the world. Ayam points at her lips and says he could conquer all 4 of her body's holes. Okuma is left speechless, trying to figure out where the 4th hole even is. But Ayam doesn't give him time to think. She leans closer and promises to help him win over Anna. But Okuma quickly replies that he has no romantic interest in Anna. He only respects her as his childhood friend. But Ayam has already realized that what he feels for Anna is far from simple admiration. That's why she decides to help him date the girl with the highest morals and the greatest popularity in the entire school. In the end, Okuma finally agrees to join her. After that, we see Okuma tied up again, but this time, it's Fua who captured him. She knocked him out with a sleeping drug, because she recently discovered that flies stick together so the female can have offspring. She even shows the act happening right in front of Okuma, and explains that humans must do something similar to have babies. She leans in and asks what he thinks about it, but Okuma just runs away like a total coward. Honestly, if it were me, I'd say, well, there's only one way to find out, and let one thing lead to another. After escaping, Okuma stops by the restroom, where he overhears some students talking. One of them says that when women breathe the same air as men, they can get pregnant. Another claims that women who start dating in their 20s aren't suitable for marriage. Okuma listens to all of it and realizes that people in this academy know absolutely nothing about real life. He later tells Ayam about all the crazy things that happened to him, and she asks if he finally understands that the school with the highest morals in the country is basically a madhouse. Unfortunately, Ayam only has pictures of pretty girls. If she had photos or videos of things a bit more indecent, she could change people's minds faster. But Okuma reminds her that content like that was already banned, even before the Healthy Childhood Act. Okuma then asks why she doesn't start with Fua, but Ayam says that Fua is completely insane. Okuma agrees, explaining that earlier that morning, Fua wouldn't stop staring at flies while they were mating. After hearing that, Ayam suddenly bursts out laughing. She's had a brilliant idea, and just thinking about her next crime makes her laugh even harder. Some time later, Okuma nervously asks if they're really going to do this. Ayam confidently says yes, forcing him to wear a mask just like hers. She's excited to push the world even further toward her ideal. The scene shifts to a lecture taking place for the students. Suddenly, the lights go out, and out of nowhere, hundreds of photos of beautiful girls start falling from the ceiling. The boys look at the pictures, not understanding what they're feeling. The teacher desperately shouts for everyone not to look at them. Meanwhile, Okuma, disguised as Blue Snow, is doing something suspicious out in the school field. Back in the lecture hall, Ayam plays a video on the projector, a close-up of 2 mosquitoes mating. At the same time, she narrates the scene, giving a surprisingly emotional touch to what's supposed to be a simple educational video about insects. As the students watch, they slowly begin to understand the purpose of their own bodies. Their faces turn bright red, and one by one, They collapse to the floor, overwhelmed by feelings they don't even understand. Okuma is drawing the symbol of Blue Snow's organization. He feels like he's going against everything Anna believes in, but at the same time, he can't help feeling happy. After that, we see Okuma and Ayame sitting together in the same cafe. Okuma looks irritated, while Ayame is absolutely delighted. Thanks to his distraction, she managed to give a 3-minute lecture about reproduction, helping the students finally understand the purpose of their lower organs. Ayame tells Okuma he did a great job too. Technically, he was supposed to draw 2 organs connecting, but instead, he drew the symbol of a nuclear explosion, which only made the students even more confused. Okuma tries to have a normal conversation with Ayame, but she suddenly starts pretending to be an adult film actress right there with the table. Later at school, Anna is trying to understand what these terrorist acts mean. She has no idea what that insect video represented, and she's completely lost about the meaning of the symbol. Goriki points at Okuma, saying he must know everything. After all, he's the son of a terrorist, but Ayame quickly reminds him that he once tried to spy on Okuma, and ended up being saved by him instead. Okuma then admits that yes, his father did teach him a lot of wrong things, but after his father was arrested, Okuma went through heavy discrimination and felt completely isolated. He began to hate his father for teaching him so many indecent things. But one day, he met Anna, and because she accepted him back then, he swore to live as a pure person, just like her. Later, on the school rooftop, Ayame says it's time to move on to their next plan. Okuma refuses, saying he won't help her anymore. But when she threatens to call the police, he immediately changes his mind and agrees to help. She explains that their next mission is to find magazines for adults restricted to 18 and over. She's already marked their location on the map, and Okuma's job is to retrieve them for her. With no other choice, Okuma prepares for this dangerous expedition. Finding a physical copy of adult material has become almost impossible. Nowadays, that kind of thing only exists online, and even then, only with the use of a VPN. But because of the censorship devices, people aren't even allowed to see such things on the internet. Now, Okuma is deep inside a forest, searching for forbidden knowledge. He enters an abandoned house and finds a hidden package filled with magazines. He checks the contents carefully and approves the quality of the material, then says they should place those magazines in spots with high visibility around the school. Right after that, we see Okuma doing exactly that, but as he tries to sneak into the school's science lab, he runs into Fuwa, who still wants to talk about the flies. She asks if humans mate the same way insects do, but Okuma prefers to stay completely silent. After he and Ayame finish spreading the materials throughout the school, Ayame opens up a little. She says they could create some content together, but unfortunately, the government devices would detect it immediately, and they'd both be arrested. She mentions that even children get thrown in jail just for discovering something inappropriate, and that in today's society, saying something indecent is considered worse than committing murder. Soon after, in the student council room, Anna begins talking about the impure magazines that have been showing up around campus, while she's giving her speech about taking action against these criminals. Okuma notices a suspicious picture hanging right behind her, but Anna is so pure that she doesn't even realize what it means. He tries to warn her about the photo, but Anna smiles and explains that she found it in a shoe locker and thought it was so cute that she decided to frame it. Okuma awkwardly tries to explain that the girl in the photo isn't eating a mushroom. She's doing something much better with it, but neither Anna nor Goriki understand the double meaning behind the image. They burn the picture immediately, and Ayame asks Okuma to explain the meaning to Anna, so she won't be fooled like that again. Ayame even offers to leave them alone, but Okuma gets embarrassed at the idea of showing his mushroom to Anna. Anna notices that Ayame and Okuma have become close friends, and she's really happy about it. She says Ayame might look tough, but she's actually a sweet girl who loves cat, candy, and even plays Minecraft. Ayame doesn't want Anna revealing her entire childhood history, so she grabs a roll of tape to shut her friend's mouth, but Goriki steps in and stops her. Ayame then offers him a banana, but he says, "I'm not a monkey." Anna laughs at the whole situation and says, the student council has become much more fun ever since Okuma joined them. To Okuma, those words feel wonderful, and from that moment, he decides he doesn't want to hurt Anna anymore. He tries to convince Ayame that they should just live normal lives, but Ayame reveals that Anna's mother is trying to pass a new law that would completely ban the act of a man and a woman creating a child. If this new law gets approved, even the private acts between couples will be monitored by the government. Ayame explains that once it passes, the authorities will know everything, even how many times Okuma claps his hands, so to speak. For Ayame, if this law becomes real, people will become even more ignorant than they already are. She says that, to Anna, the girl in that picture was just eating a giant mushroom with 2 round shapes beneath it, and she asks Okuma if he really thinks it's healthy for someone to to not understand the indecent meaning behind that image. Her words leave him deep in thought. That night, Anna's mother tells her to be careful around those criminals. But she reassures her daughter that once her new law is approved, those kinds of people will finally be caught. Meanwhile, Ayame and Okuma discuss their next plan in detail. She then decides that Okuma will be the one to teach the students how babies are made. Ayame promises to act as a distraction while he carries out the mission. When it begins, the students are terrified to see blue snow, but at the same time, they're curious to finally learn how children are born. Okuma starts explaining that the woman is the most important part, and that something must be inserted inside her. But right at that moment, Anna and Goriki show up, forcing him to run. He escapes down a rope, but Anna grabs the rope and starts pulling it. That immediately reminds Okuma of Ayame's words, that Anna may look like a fragile girl, but deep down, she's actually a real monster. He lets go of the rope and runs down the hallway, but Anna keeps chasing him and catches sight of him climbing another rope leading to the rooftop. She follows him up there, and just when Okuma is about to be caught, Ayame calls Anna and tells her that the real blue snow is on the other rooftop. Anna runs off to chase her as fast as she can. Okuma breathes a sigh of relief, happy to have been saved. But at the same time, a girl who was painting the scenery nearby ends up seeing his true identity. After all that, during a new meeting, Anna once again shocks Okuma because she still doesn't understand anything about how babies are made. After the meeting, Anna finds a letter in her locker. Right after that, we see the girl from the previous day, named Sayatome, receiving an award. But for some reason, she tears the certificate apart and says she's not in the mood for any of it. Goriki comments that Sayatome's behavior was strange and asks Anna what she thinks, but she stays silent. Still lost in thought about the letter she read that morning, Okuma notices that Anna has been acting strange lately, and he asks Ayame if she's noticed it too. At that moment, Goriki gives Okuma a sharp glare, an even uglier look than usual, and Ayame tells Okuma not to think too much about it for now. Later, Okuma goes back to his classroom and reflects quietly. Maybe the crimes he's been committing are making Anna sad, but his thoughts are interrupted when Fuwa walks up to him again, asking even more questions about how babies are made. Out of nowhere, Sayatome shows up, throws a heavy iron collar around Okuma's neck, and drags him away to the art room. Inside, she declares that he's now her pet dog, and he can't say no, because she's the one who saw his true identity on the rooftop. Okuma realizes there's no way out of this, so he asks what exactly Sayatome wants from him. But before she can answer, Ayame suddenly bursts into the room, pretends to be shocked by something indecent, and immediately runs away. Sayatome sighs and says she doesn't like Ayame. Then she explains that she needs Okuma's help to overcome her creative block, and also to win over the love of her life. But before she can go into more detail, Goriki walks in and drags her away, saying she's doing strange things with a boy, and that her behavior could harm the school's morality. After school, in the same old cafe, Ayame teases Okuma by showing him a picture of Sayatome on top of him. She calls him a cheap playboy, but Okuma insists that he's only interested in Anna, and that he's worried about her acting so strangely. He asks Ayame why Anna's been like this, as Ayame explains that Anna has a stalker. We see Anna opening her locker and finding it stuffed with photos of herself taken in different places. Later, while walking down the street, Okuma says he could protect Anna himself, but Ayame tells him not to worry, Anna will be fine. She reminds Okuma that he should focus on solving his problems with Sayatome. As for Anna, Ayame says she'll take care of it personally. After all, in this world where she can't tell dirty jokes or say forbidden words, Anna was the only person who ever helped her fit into normal society even just a little. While saying all these nice things, Ayame activates her 3 daily minutes of freedom and immediately starts spouting the filthiest words imaginable. Okuma yells at her in frustration, completely losing his temper. The next day, Okuma meets with Sayatome again. His goal is to help her with her romance problem. Meanwhile, Sayatome eats like she hasn't seen food in days. Okuma asks who she's in love with, but she blushes and says she can't reveal it. Okuma gives a small smile, and Sayatome immediately gets angry and tries to hit him. But Okuma explains that he only smiled because he thought it was adorable. How shy she got about admitting who she's in love with. He tells Sayatome not to worry too much. After all, he also has someone he loves deeply from the bottom of his heart. Sayatome suggests that they both reveal the names of their crushes at the same time. If he agrees to do that, she'll forgive him for being rude earlier. He accepts the deal. But just as he's about to speak, he receives an alert from his collar. So only Sayatome ends up revealing her secret. She's in love with Anna. She gets flustered and threatens to report Okuma, unless he tells her who he's in love with. Thinking quickly, Okuma blurts out that he's in love with Ayame. As soon as he says that, Sayatome's mood completely changes. She smiles and says they should work together to separate Anna and Ayame. However, Okuma asks why she hasn't reported him to the authorities, since he's the criminal Anna's been hunting this whole time. In response, Sayatome says that Anna actually seems happy while chasing him, and even if he's a nuisance to her, she wants to join forces with him. Later, during a meeting, Anna announces her plan to collect signatures in support of the new law that would ban intimate relationships entirely. She accidentally drops a bottle of water and gets startled. Goriki loses his temper and accuses Okuma of being the stalker who's been taking photos of Anna. But Anna doesn't believe he's responsible. Goriki realizes his mistake, helps Okuma back to his feet, and apologizes. Anna gives a gentle smile and says this problem will soon be solved. A few minutes later, on the school rooftop, Ayame tells Okuma that Goriki is actually in love with Anna. That's why he can't control his anger toward her stalker. Ayame activates her 3 minutes of freedom and immediately starts saying all the filthy things that Goriki secretly wants to do with Anna. Okuma begs her to stop, but Ayame just keeps going, spitting out one indecent comment after another. Then Ayame says that because of the country's laws, even the freedom to love has been destroyed. People have become so repressed that they don't even know how to express their feelings anymore. As she talks about love, Okuma thinks back to Sayatomi, who's also suffering because of her feeling and doesn't know how to express them either. After hearing that, Ayame suddenly drops to the ground, rolling around and shouting that she should have devoured Okuma. Confused, he asks why she's saying something like that. Ayame explains that after what he just said, it's obvious now. Anna's stalker is Sayatomi. The little artist doesn't know how to express her love, so she takes creepy photos and leaves strange letters every day. Ayame admits she's scared to act too soon and ruin her chance to make Sayatomi her official illustrator for romantic scenes. Okuma tells her to calm down. He says his instincts are telling him that Sayatomi isn't the stalker, so Ayame decides to find out who the real stalker is, and at the same time, help Sayatomi confess her feeling. The next day, she explains her plan to everyone. Ayame says she'll dress up as a boy and pretend to go on a date with Anna. Goriki volunteers to help, but Ayame says the stalker won't make a move if he's around, so his job, and Okuma's too, is just to observe and act at the right moment. Later, Okuma passes this information on to Sayatomi while she's shaving his legs. He's completely embarrassed and asks why this is necessary. Sayatomi explains that he'll need to disguise himself. The next day, to avoid being noticed, we see Okuma dressed as a woman, standing beside Sayatomi. In front of them, Ayame is chatting with Anna, and just the sight of the two together is enough to make Sayatomi burn with jealousy. Suddenly, her face turns red, and she starts drawing like crazy. In just a few seconds, she's already sketched Anna perfectly, and that's the reason behind her creative block. Right now, she can only think about Anna. She desperately wants to draw her. Sayatomi has never used anyone as a live model before. All her drawings came straight from her imagination, but ever since she met Anna, she hasn't been able to think of anyone else. Her biggest dream is to draw Anna completely naked. But in today's world, that's impossible. Just as Okuma is about to comfort Sayatomi, Goriki suddenly appears and almost falls for Okuma, thinking he's an attractive woman. But he quickly snaps out of it and tries to pull Okuma out of the bushes. At that moment, the stalker shows up, attacking Ayame from behind. Okuma rushes in to help, but Ayame strikes the man right in his weak spot. However, there's more than one person following Anna. Sayatomi is the first to act, jumping in to protect her, but she's too small to fight back and nearly gets killed. Okuma manages to save her, even landing a punch on one of the attackers. But by doing so, he leaves himself completely exposed, and the second stalker hits him hard. Ayame tries to step in, but Okuma takes a blow to the back of his neck and blacks out. When he wakes up, he realizes he's kissing Anna, and at the same time, he hears Ayame's voice asking if he's okay. Okuma panics, and the rush of adrenaline makes him jump to his feet, only to immediately pass out again. Meanwhile, Anna gently touches her lips, trying to understand what that strange, wonderful feeling was. Her body starts to heat up, and her eyes begin to glow softly. Anna has never felt anything like this in her life. And as for Okuma, he's already drifting off to another world. Sometime later, Okuma wakes up in a hospital bed. He checks his phone and sees a message from Ayame saying that after saving Anna, he'll probably get a massage of gratitude from her soon. While thinking about that, Goriki suddenly appears beside him, offering slices of apple cut into cute shapes. As Okuma eats, Fuwa climbs up onto the balcony. He asks why she didn't just use the door to visit him. But unfortunately, every doctor in this hospital has her on their blacklist. Fuwa shows Okuma a small gift she brought, and then points out that Goriki seems to care about him a lot now. She then casually asks, "Can a man make a baby with another man?" Okuma immediately spits out his breakfast. Fuwa goes on to say that Goriki seems to really like him lately. But Okuma insists that Goriki finally understands. They're both on the same side, fighting for the good of the student council. Fuwa asks if Anna has come to visit him, but Okuma shakes his head. She hasn't come even once. He figures that after accidentally kissing her, maybe she really doesn't want to see him again. Fuwa says Anna must hate him, and just hearing that makes Okuma feel terrible. She then explains that since Okuma's been hospitalized, Anna and Goriki have been working even harder to track down crimes against morality. A few days later, during a phone call with Ayame, Okuma finds out that she told Sayatomi the truth, and now Sayatomi is in training to become their official illustrator. Okuma says that Sayatome seemed to hate Ayam, but Ayam explains that after working together to help Anna, Sayatome finally realized they weren't enemies. Okuma asks if the censorship devices won't detect Sayatome drawing indecent things, but Ayam replies that she can just use her feet to draw, or even her front black hole. Right then, Sayatome speaks up and reveals a big problem. She'll only be able to draw such thing if she can see how human reproduction actually works in real life. A few days later, Sayatome visits Okuma at the hospital. He tells her that Anna still hasn't come to see him, but unlike him, Sayatome says she's been seeing Anna quite often lately. As a thank you for helping her, Anna offered to pose as a model for Sayatome's painting, and Sayatome has been painting every part of Anna's anatomy. Okuma freaks out when he hears that. He realizes that Anna hasn't visited him because she's been posing for Sayatome instead. However, Sayatome adds that she once asked Anna if she planned to visit Okuma, and Anna replied no, with a dark expression on her face. Seeing that look on Anna's face almost broke Sayatome's creative block completely, and now she's excited to see Anna's reaction. When Okuma returns to the student council, when Okuma finally comes back, he feels down when he realizes Anna is completely ignoring him. Unlike her, Goriki seems genuinely worried and tells Okuma to take it easy. Anna simply agrees with Goriki, as if she wants Okuma to leave. Okuma keeps doing his duties, and when he asks about Ayam, Goriki says she mentioned she was handling something important, so she couldn't come. Suddenly, Okuma accidentally brushes against Anna's hand, and she jumps back, then gives him a strange look. He immediately understands she's really avoiding him. Later that night, at home, Okuma senses someone on his balcony. When he goes to check, he finds no one there, only a mysterious white liquid on the floor. At the same time, Ayam calls Okuma and orders him to meet her at the cafe. When he arrives, looking completely dead inside, Ayam asks what happened. Sayatome explains that Anna seems to be avoiding him. Ayam asks if he did something wrong, something like taking advantage of Anna when she was vulnerable. Unfortunately, Okuma can't deny it. He still feels terrible about what happened recently. Later, in the basement, Ayam reveals that she discovered a hidden stash of high-quality materials deep in a forest. Sayatome says those things were probably erased long ago, but Ayam explains that the collection is stored in a private area, and its original owner died, leaving behind a massive inheritance of forbidden content. Luckily, the heir has been following his ancestors' will, preserving everything and secretly helping those who want to change the world. The heir's name is Keisuk. He once had his plans exposed by the Decency Squad, so their next mission must be powerful enough to outsmart the government itself to retrieve that stash. Ayam says they'll make their move in 3 weeks. Her plan is simple. Bring the entire school to that forest and make it look like they accidentally discovered the magazines there. The plan shocks both Okuma and Sayatome. After all, she's planning to involve innocent students from Tokioka Academy. Okuma insists it's impossible, but Ayam says all they need to do is spread rumors about the Yotsuga forest until the students get curious. Their conversation ends there, and when Okuma returns home, he finds his front door covered with letters. The next day, Ayam asks him to start spreading the word about the forest, but he refuses. Later, in a private place, Okuma confides in her. Someone's been leaving wet letters at his door. He's also found some on his desk. Ayam examines them and notices they're covered in saliva, which is absolutely disgusting. She tells him to keep quiet about it for now. They need to stay low-key. That evening, they watch a speech by Anna's mother, Sophia. She declares that if her new law passes, everyone will be forced to wear chastity-sealing devices. She asks for the students' full support. On the same day that Ayam and Okuma are supposed to head to the forest expedition. Meanwhile, when Fiwa arrives at the Academy's lab, she discovers that everything she'd been working on to understand human reproduction has been taken away. The entire room is spotless. With no other choice, Ayam creates a new plan. She sends Sayatome to Okuma's house, and he sneaks her inside. Ayam's goal is simple. She wants Sayatome to see whoever is stalking Okuma and draw the person's face. And if possible, Ayam adds, she'd like Okuma to devour his stalker, like a true, selfish man would. But Okuma refuses. He says he won't use his sword on any of them, not even as part of the mission. So for Sayatome, the only thing left to do is witness the expression of a stalker breaking into Okuma's house. Afraid of being attacked, Okuma decides to stay awake all night. But as the night drags on, he accidentally falls asleep and wakes up to find himself brutally tied down by a girl. He hears her voice saying she feels a burning heat whenever she sees him, and that reading his message on the door made her incredibly happy. Okuma recognizes that voice. When he turns his head, he sees Anna sitting on top of him. She acts like a wild animal, saying she feels something pure toward him, something adults call love. She starts removing her clothes, and even tears at Okuma's shirt. But at the last moment, Ayam bursts in and flips on the lights. Anna admits that she does feel something pure for Okuma, but she doesn't know how to talk about it yet. She hurriedly gathers her clothes and runs away. After witnessing everything, Sayatome feels completely inspired and immediately starts drawing what she saw. Okuma, still shaken, notices a wet piece of clothing nearby, and Ayame, just as horrified, freezes at the sight. Meanwhile, Anna walks calmly through the streets, smiling softly to herself, happy to finally feel something as pure as love. The next day, Ayame apologizes for overreacting the night before, for screaming gross non-stop after seeing that wet piece of clothing. Okuma tells her that nothing really happened, that maybe everyone just dreamed the same thing. But Sayatome interrupts and insists she saw Okuma almost devour Anna, like a true selfish beast, even though he was completely tied up. Okuma just keeps smiling, saying Anna would never do something like that. But Sayatome suddenly pulls out Anna's legendary piece of clothing, which shocks Okuma even more. Later, in the student council room, Anna brings some cookies she baked for Ayame and Okuma. When Okuma takes a bite, he notices a strange taste. Then Anna, with a crazed look in her eyes, reveals that she flavored his cookies with her very own love fluid. Okuma is horrified. Ayame immediately realizes that Anna can't tell the difference between love and lust. Ayame teases him, asking why he doesn't just give in and devour every inch of Anna's body since he clearly likes her. But Okuma says he could never take advantage of her innocence. Suddenly, Anna appears again, holding Ayame hostage. She says that lately, Ayame's been interfering in her interactions with Okuma. Ayame nervously explains that she's only been giving him love advice. Anna accepts that excuse, but admits she's been feeling the urge to hit Ayame every time she sees her close to Okuma. Before leaving, Anna tells Okuma that she'll visit him that night, so they can continue where they left off. As she walks away, she tosses her scissors into the air, and they nearly slice Okuma's sword in half. Later, Anna meets with her mother. They talk about creating a pure world, where everyone wears metal devices instead of regular underwear. Anna agrees with everything her mother says, completely unaware that the feelings she's been experiencing are anything but pure. Meanwhile, Okuma feels sad, watching a once pure girl like Anna turn into a wild, dangerous creature. Ayame tries to comfort him, saying that at least Sayatome has been making plenty of useful drawings that will help them change the students' minds. The next day at school, Anna approaches Okuma holding a bottle filled with her so-called love nectar. He ducks under her arm and runs away, but she chases after him, begging him to let her taste a little of his love nectar. Every single day, Okuma finds himself running from Anna as she desperately tries to capture him. If I were Okuma, I probably would have given up already and surrendered to Anna's powers. But he insists on doing things the right way. While fleeing through the lab one day, Okuma drops his bag full of drawing, and Fua ends up finding it. Unfortunately, because he's constantly running from Anna, Okuma hasn't been able to follow through with any of Ayame's recent plans. And to make matters worse, Anna's mother has tightened her moral crackdown, sending morality police officers to monitor every single student. That whole situation frustrates Ayame, and she decides to go to the forest alone to steal the forbidden materials. Okuma runs after her, asking how she can be so determined to change the world for the better. In response, Ayame says she'll never give up on her dream to make everyone in the world shout profanities freely. When they finally reach the forest, they see that security has been heavily reinforced. Okuma suggests they retreat, but Ayame refuses. She says she's ready to sacrifice herself for the sake of a better world, even knowing she might lose. She has no intention of backing down. But suddenly, dozens of students rush up the stone steps of the forest, holding the drawings that Sayatome created. They're all excited to discover more about them. Luckily, Sayatome made pictures to suit every taste, and Fua is leading the charge, attracting the crowd and doing an excellent job. Seeing this, Ayame gets fired up. She quickly puts on her special outfit and invites Okuma to join her in conquering the world. Meanwhile, Sophia realizes that her signature campaign has failed and becomes furious. Anna then steps forward and asks for permission to handle the situation herself. At the same time, the students come face to face with the guards, but Fua organizes a plan. The girls pretend they came to hold the boys back, so the guards chase after the boys instead. While everyone thinks the girls betrayed them, they reveal their true goal: to seize the legendary body fusion books. Nearby, Ayame and Okuma are preparing to act, but Anna appears, determined to capture Blue Snow. They start running for their lives as Anna chases them, shouting that once she catches Blue Snow, Okuma will finally stop running away from her. During the chase, Ayame decides to face Anna alone. While Okuma searches for the legendary stash, she pushes Okuma off a cliff, a fall that should have been certain death. But instead, he lands in a hidden cave. Inside, he finds a treasure trove of legendary material, things no Japanese citizen has seen in decades. At the same time, Anna captures Ayame. Okuma can hear her struggling and screaming in pain. For a moment, he considers leaving her behind to save himself, but then he finds a special outfit and decides to fight. When he confronts Anna, she tries to defeat him, But something strange happens. She feels something special toward this masked man, and completely loses her strength. She admits that Okuma is her weakness, and that this man looks exactly like him, right down to the shape of his body. She feels ashamed as her love nectar reacts to him, and she retreats, leaping from the ledge into the darkness below. After she's gone, Fuwa shows up, proudly saying she collected plenty of material, and is heading back. Ayame removes her mask, smiling, and jokes that Okuma's outfit is even more indecent than hers. Thanks to the massive amount of new material, Sayatome finally overcomes her creative block, and the content they needed to spread through the school multiplies beyond measure. Even so, Sophia refuses to back down. She manages to force several captured students to sign the purity petitions to avoid government punishment. In a televised interview, she proudly declares that despite the chaos and protests, her plan to improve Japan's morality is progressing, and the students' signatures are proof. But when she raises the stack of papers, the real ones have already been swapped. On live national television, she ends up broadcasting dozens of indecent scenes, the kind you'd probably love to see. Honestly, even I enjoyed that part. Ayame and Okuma celebrate their success, but they're quickly forced to run for their lives. As they escape, Ayame laughs and tells him that he's now officially a nationally wanted criminal. But Okuma no longer runs from himself. He admits that he started to enjoy freeing the part of him that's been repressed for so many years. However, after their victory, a serious problem emerges. Because of the content spread by Okuma and his group, students all across the school start feeling a strange warmth. Whenever they look at the legendary drawings, they have no idea what's happening. One of them even asks Okuma how to get rid of that heat, but Okuma just runs away, saying he doesn't know. When he meets up with Ayame again, she says that from now on, they should start creating accessories to help people deal with their new feeling. The first item she decides to make is lubricant. She claims it'll help boys release everything they've been holding inside. When Okuma nervously asks what about the girls, Ayame blushes and says that Sayatome's illustrations should already be more than enough for them. But deep down, her real goal is to recreate the toys that were banned by the government long ago and make them available for everyone. They spend hours discussing what kinds of toys they should build. Eventually, Ayame tells Okuma to go talk to Fuwa. He asks what exactly he's supposed to say, and Ayame tells him to ask for something. That sounds like a health-improving massage device. He just needs to come up with a good excuse to use Fuwa's genius engineering skills. When he hesitates, Ayame threatens to lock him in a room with Anna. Okuma calls her a tyrannical leader, but before that, they want to at least create a prototype, and Okuma has to test it. He complains, asking why he's always the one who has to do these things. The girls simply tell him that he's the only one who has a third leg. Before anything else, they'll need lubricant. Instead of using normal oil, Ayame decides to make it by hand, and while the group plays around building toys, Fuwa is in her lab, welding something completely different. When their villain team finishes the first toy, Sayatome tries to test it using a pencil, but Okuma quickly stops her. Later, Ayame freezes the object and asks Okuma to test the cold version. He refuses, so she presents the hot one instead. Okuma screams, saying that thing could kill a man. They run dozens of experiments, and by the end of the day, everyone's exhausted. Ayame sighs and says she respects their ancestors for working so hard to invent these things. Okuma just nods in agreement. A few days later, Okuma tells everyone that Fuwa has finally completed a prototype for them to test. He visits her lab to take a look, and when Fuwa asks if the vibrating object works properly, he's a little shocked, but can't deny that her work is flawless. Then he notices that Fuwa is wearing very little clothing. Instead of taking advantage of the moment, he awkwardly asks why she's only wearing a lab coat. Fuwa explains that her clothes got dirty, but she's already washed them, and is waiting for them to dry. Okuma quickly looks away, embarrassed. Fuwa then asks what exactly these vibrating devices are for. He tells her they're massage tools. She accepts that explanation and asks for payment, but reveals that she doesn't want money. What she wants is to see his third leg rise up and fight for the good of the nation. Okuma refuses to show his little pistol, so Fuwa says she won't hand over the device. He chases after her, and right then, Anna opens the door and completely misunderstands the situation. To avoid both of them being killed, Okuma panics and makes up a story. He says he asked Fuwa to make a present for Anna. He holds up the pink object, explaining that it's not ready yet and she shouldn't use it for now. But Anna, being her impulsive self, smiles and says she'll use it right now. That night, Anna takes the gift home and wears it as a pendant. Later, Ayame complains that she lost her toy to Anna, but Okuma reminds her they still have a prototype. Unfortunately, Ayame broke it while experimenting, and somehow turned it into a giant vibrating fruit. The next day in the clubroom, the remote control in Okuma's hands suddenly breaks. At that same moment, Anna begins to feel her pendant start to vibrate. Ayame immediately pretends to be innocent and sneaks away, leaving Okuma to deal with the disaster alone. Panicking, he runs to Fuwa's lab and begs her to fix the device. But without both parts, Fuwa says there's nothing she can do. To make matters worse, Ana's gone full stalker again, chasing Okuma all over campus. He runs into Sayatone, but the little villain shouts out his location, revealing him to Ana. Sayatone then declares her evil plan, to draw an illustration of Okuma and Ana fusing together. Ana tracks him down like a monster, and Okuma decides he's had enough. He's dropping out of school and locking himself in his house forever. But on the way, Goriki stops him, asking why he's running like one of those bullied kids, who suddenly shows up wearing black clothes and 2 backpacks. That annoying Goriki drags Okuma back to school by force. When Okuma asks if he's noticed anything strange about Ana lately, Goriki says her upper body was vibrating strangely. But aside from that, everything looked normal. Okuma sighs and thinks to himself how much he hates people who are biologically clueless. Goriki delivers Okuma straight to Ana, who politely thanks him, then immediately throws Okuma onto a desk, like prey ready to be devoured. Okuma fears this might be the day he died. Ana pushes him to the ground, demanding everything he has to give. At that moment, Okuma feels his champagne bottle fizzing, his giraffe lifting its head. But then the gift he gave Ana short circuits and breaks, saving him from losing his purity once again. He takes a deep breath, thinking that next time, he might not be so lucky. He apologizes to Ana for giving her such a crazy gift, and gently covers her back up. A few days later, Ana asks him to make another one just like it. She promises to be a good girl, and take better care of it this time. Okuma goes to Aim for help, but she ignores him completely, as if he'd done it all on purpose. He tries again to explain himself, but Sayatome suddenly appears, telling him to stop pretending, and just become a selfish devourer already. Ana notices how many female friends Okuma has, and grabs him by the neck, pulling him close. Realizing his fate is sealed, Okuma closes his eyes, accepts his destiny, and prays to God to send him to a world where girls are normal.